Hey guys, welcome back to Wednesdays live on my YouTube channel. Sorry, I was getting an email that I was live. Once again here, Wednesday, 9 o'clock Spain time to talk about cameras, film, whatever you guys want to ask. And I'll be here to try to help. And if not, we can just have a funny conversation like we had last week. First, hey Hal, hey Thomas, hi Leighton. Just want to say thank you all for all the support. I've been a little busy lately for the news and finally got myself to do it yesterday. And meanwhile, I was doing the news, I read about Kodak's announcement on Twitter, or let's see, hints on Twitter. Hi, de Barbas. And looks like they're coming out with some kind of product at the end of the week, Friday. Well, end of the working week, at least for me, even though I'm working this weekend. But say about pushing film, fast film, I don't know what it will be, but probably some kind of high-speed pushable film. People are saying Kodak T Max 3200. Some people are saying Ector 1000. Some people are saying, I don't know, high speed slide. I would love to actually see something like the old Fuji Provia 400X. It would have been great to see that 400X slide film was a film from Fuji. You could push the 1600 and it was amazing. Hi, Stuart. And it's been discontinued by Fuji, and it would be great if Kodak could get something like that. Maybe building Ektachrome, they would find something like that, but I doubt it. The Barba says, you need to make a video about all your photography books, please. I have so many videos I have to do. I'm trying to just to catch up with the routine of the news and the live streams. Finish finally doing the Intrepid edit. I had a teaser released last week, which was very small, 39 seconds, 40 seconds. But something to give you an idea what the documentary is going to look like. Of course, I would have done it differently once I started editing. I realized I would have recorded it differently, recorded a lot more things, or maybe less of this and more of that. But I might actually do the nice and neat documentary and then maybe show like a bit more raw behind the scenes, because I have like a complete video of the camera being built by the workers. Assembled, checked and stuff, and it might be like an 8-minute video that no one wants to watch except for a few of us that would really enjoy. So I might just edit it up and add it to as a later B-roll kind of like release. Let me see, Analog Adventure. Hi, Spain. Leighton says, would love 3200 monochrome. Yeah, that's what everyone's saying, and I'm pretty sure it probably is something like that. TV photo. Hello, Camel Green. Hey, Nico. And JKL says, what do you think about the Nikon F100? First, I got a question on the top that I have to answer, which was Thomas was very early, half an hour early. Probably saw that I made the event and jumped in. Hey, Nico, love the show. Do you have any experience shooting paper negatives? What's your thought on them? Advice when it comes to paper and so on. Thanks for the work you do. Thank you, Thomas. No experience shooting paper negatives. I do know people that do shoot them. Experience and recommendations would be more of what I think could work more than actual experience, because I haven't used it. But I know that the contrast can be a little hard to, tame. It's a little contrasty. You want to get a paper that won't have any letters on the back, which most fiber-based don't. I don't know if the RC, at least the ones I've used, don't. I do know color paper does have the letters on the back, so that kind of defeats the purpose of trying to do negatives with RA4. Speed, I know, is like something like 2 ISO, 3 ISO, 6 ISO. I do know that you can contact print them after or scan them and invert. But a lot of people use it as a cheap way to start. But honestly, I think films like Fomapan, and by your name, I'm guessing you're in Europe, and Fomapan 100 in large format is extremely economical compared to other brands like Ilford or Kodak. And I've been shooting just cheap films like that to start. Fomapan 100's being one of those films I use in 8x10 when I want to do fun stuff and just kind of play around. You can shoot 10 negatives and it won't break the bank. And similar, but yeah, no experience. If I ever do something, I'll let you guys know. JKL says, what do you think about the F100? JKL, I've heard it's pretty much the best body without going into the older F5 or the modern F6. I have the Nikon F or N80, because there were F80s in Europe, I think, and N80s in the US. And I think it's an awesome camera. Sadly, it doesn't work with all the Nikon lenses, as much as Nikon always says their lens mount didn't change. Depending on what model, you can't put all the lenses on it. So like a few weeks back, I got a 50mm lens as a loan from a friend, and it didn't work on the F80. So I've heard it's awesome. Metering is really good. Out of focus is really good. Everything is pretty nice on the camera. It's basically like a modern digital camera, but shoot film. So if you're into that stuff, it's a great choice, and out of focus will help you a lot. Camille says, hi, Nico. What you know about lomography color negatives? It's made by Kodak, but what stock? Ultramax 100 to 800. Lomography negative film. I've actually never ever used any lomography film, and not that I've not been curious, but honestly, I'm actually one of it. I have organized my desktop the other day, and I left one picture out, and I'll come back to the lomography and why I don't shoot it. And it's a picture of aerochrome film. Aerochrome film was a color infrared film used by the US government and stuff for surveillance. They would shoot trees and forests from the air, and the different basically foliage or trees and grass would look different if it was alive or dead. So they could check if something was, hidden or whatever. And I bought a bunch of film when it was expensive, but not crazy expensive. And what happens to me with rare films is I never end up using them. I'm not one of those beta tester lovers that tries films all the time. And lomography has always felt like that. It always felt like they would buy old stocks and sell them lomography branded. I know now they're making new-ish emulsions in the purple chrome or Lomo chrome or purple. I don't know how it's called. They make stuff like that, so I've never used it. I don't know if it's Kodak. I wouldn't think it would be Kodak because it's 120 film sometimes. But David Bias is saying, as far as I know, Lomo negative films are ACFA, but I could be wrong. Well, Dave Bias probably should know about this, so I'll take his word, and it's probably ACFA film. Dave, I got your email. Thank you for that, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Let me see. Leighton says, Nick and Trick have one for sale. No affiliation, just saw it posted today. Yeah, the F100 Nikon sells. I've seen it from 100 euros to 150. Probably goes for a little bit more sometimes if it looks better. The one thing to look at is the sticky plastic. The grip gets a little sticky. Apart from that, if it's in good condition, it should be okay. Also, if you get the grip or the battery extra thing, try to get the plate, because if you remove the grip, you won't have the bottom plate or something missing. I'm not exactly sure. I do know something goes there. Camille says 800 is really great and cheap for 800 ISO film with expire date 2021. Camille says on box it's made in USA. Interesting. No idea actually. If I ever hear about who makes it, I'll try to say it. But honestly, nowadays the ones making film are, you can count them almost with your hand. and the rest people are rebranding. But I guess lomography has a strong enough market to be able to make companies make a special emulsions for them. So yeah, on Mian, I can never say. Just saw your news. Thank you for the link on Instacon from Mint. Yeah, the Instacon, which is basically, I think, the biggest release on instant photography, except for New 55, which to me is one of the best things that came out, even though right now it's underground, is great news. I love that it's going to give that love for the Instax wide. For those shooting Instax film, sorry, I just don't understand why you would shoot the mini or the square when it's all the same price as the wide. If I'm going to be shooting at $1 a pop, I'd rather get double the amount of film from the mini, or I think like a 33% more than the square. The only thing I didn't like was the cameras that were available, including lomographies, were not to my liking. So I hope the Instacon rangefinder from Mint will be, not even that it will be cheap or not. I mean, I guess one could afford to buy, you know, a little nicer camera, considering that Polaroid land cameras, the nicer ones, were really pricey and it's still pricey. If you wanted a Mamiya press like the, you know, the 23 or the Polaroid Goose, the 600 SE, you would pay a pretty premium. So we'll see how the price goes, but I'm very excited about that. David Bias says, Camille, you might be right, but I'm not aware of Kodak doing any contract coding. Well, maybe they just, maybe it's like Hasselblad cameras that are made somewhere else and, you know, put together in Sweden. You never know. Also, Leica cameras are made in Germany, but they're kind of made in Portugal, most of them, not all of them. Don't take my word on that. I don't want any Leica fans to kill me. Holgerth, hi, nice to see you. The Barbas, Nico, do you know the book History of Photography by Joseph Maria Eder? Nope, no idea about that. Hogarth says, square for hopes of the Resivat. Otherwise, the wide is best. I mean, there was that Kickstarter I mentioned on the news a while ago. That was let me see, I'm going to go to it because I think you guys might enjoy it. Let's see, Kickstarter. That was basically like the Resivat, but it was hand cranked and it was extremely affordable. It was for Hasselblad cameras. You would put the back on the Hasselblad, shoot squares, and for that I can see a purpose, but not so much. Let me see. It's called Hasselblad Square Instant Film Back. It got canceled by Alexander Doby, I guess. While it was halfway, I was a backer of it because I thought it was a pretty fun thing. Having Hasselblad and liking instant film, I thought, you know, why not? It was like 99, not even. Wait, no. I thought it was like 85. Oh, here, 85 pounds, which was like 100 euros, was the Hasselblad instant back. So that's what it was, $100. I think it's worth it. Hasselblad backs for Polaroid, or Polaroid backs for Hasselblad, were always around $100. So, but he canceled. I would have wished to see it, but we'll see. Let's go back here, Leighton. Leighton, thanks for the super chat. Question, 12-volt halogen bulbs for enlarger, are they special or just ordinary bulbs? I need to replace one. Thanks for the support, Leighton. Let's keep the lights on. It does help, guys. And after, I've never really plugged the subscribe, the like the videos, or the Patreon page, but I have been getting people joining Patreon slowly. I started adding it at the end with a tile, and people have been supporting, and it feels huge. So thanks for all, including Leighton right now. So let me see what it says. 12 halogen bulbs. I've always heard they're special. I can't make for sure that they're special, but I do buy the proper ones for enlargers. They are extremely cheap in the US, which kind of makes me always a bummed because, you know, here in Europe, we have to pay that price for Europe. But as you know, happily, because I married an American woman, I travel to the US and usually bring a bunch of light bulbs. And that my enlarger uses for light bulbs, and every time one goes, two go. So as far as I know, Leighton, 12 V volts halogen lights will be for enlargers. I can try asking someone specialized in it and see what the answer is. So I'm going to screenshot your super chat, and that way I will remember, and I will ask and get back to you guys as soon as I have an answer. If it's a special, I think the fact of time it takes to turn on, the amount of light it gives the moment it turns on, and how constant that light color and the temperature would be, or temperature, is important. So I would like to say they're special. If not, I think it's being one of the biggest scams in photography, because we all bought the proper ones when maybe we could have bought normal ones. But yeah, I know that for the very short exposures, because you're going to get, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds on once you turn on the light bulb to expose your paper, you might, if you have like a little curve for the light to turn on and get warm or enough light, you might have inconsistencies between turning it on a lot or leaving it off for a few minutes and then turning it back on and it's cold. So yeah, I'll let you guys know, especially Leighton, which is asking, but I'll answer everyone so I can help the rest. So just let me jump back up. Hogarth says, next thing you'll say is you put a Summicron on a non-Leica camera. No, Hogarth, I fixed it. I put a Summicron back onto a Leica camera. We were talking before, Hogarth and me, about how some people dislike the whole Leica bodies with no Leica glass, or the other way around. I kind of use whatever I have, but I just added, let me take the filter off, which I'm not a filter person, but these older lenses, you got to be careful. I just added a Summicron 35 V1 version 1. It's an 8-element one. This was a friend who had 2 of them and was nice enough to hand it over to me. So yeah, I'll let you guys know. I actually went on Saturday out and I did kind of a vlog video, and I might still post it, but I had a few issues. First thing, I took my Zeiss Icon and I ran out of batteries, and of course they last forever, so you don't have batteries with you. And second, I don't know why I had opened the back 2 or 3 shots into the roll and closed it back. So when I got to frame 32, it got stuck and I thought I had broken the camera. And it happened to be that I had finished the roll. Thankfully, I rewound the film and loaded again. But I kind of lost my interest after those 2 issues. But I did shoot in Bilbao, shot medium format with my kids in the studio, made a little video, and hopefully we'll finish it up and edit it for you guys. Let me see. Leighton, thanks, Nico. Let me know. I think we have chatted on Facebook before, so please feel free to message me. Yeah, yeah, guys. I've talked to Leighton. Stuart sent me an email too last week. This week about the Stenopeka news. Sorry, Stuart, I never said anything back. It's been busy. But yeah, I got the Stenopeka news too. Stenopeka just released, I think it was yesterday, a very affordable 4x5 called the Hyper camera. It's kind of like in the range of the Intrepid, the Italian camera and such. And it looks pretty nice. It does look like a cheap alternative too for large format, but for those people starting, it might be a good option. Hopefully soon I want to do a few reviews of those entry level or cheaper large format cameras, new cameras, because I consider entry level cameras anything that's under, let's say, like around 500 bucks. It's easy to get into large format like that. So let's see. Analog Adventure, typical, everything happens when Nico is on, but I'm here now. Nico, is possible that one shutter speed don't close the curtains? For instance, all speed work except for 1/125th. It could happen. I mean, I had a camera once that I thought was something issue with speed, but it ended up being the leaf shutter had closed not properly, so it got kind of like stuck. But yeah, I guess maybe it could happen that your shutter speed will not work at one speed. I mean, at the end, the gears have to go in. I know in old lenses, sometimes the slow speeds get stuck. Maybe in some lenses, the middle speed gets stuck, but I can't tell you that for sure, Spain. You could also try, and I'm sure they'll be happy to answer and help. Camera Ventures has a new repair facility. They're moving in, but you can write them and ask them about that. They might be nice enough to answer, even though you're not a customer or anything like that. They've been extremely nice to me always, and I have a very good relationship with U-Haul, which is the face of Camera Ventures. You might have seen him on the Bellamy video when he announced the point and shoot he's working on. Omar, hello from Egypt. Hello from Spain. Never been to Egypt, but I would love to go. Let me see. How's film in Egypt, Omar? We don't get a lot of viewers from Egypt, so I would love to hear what the scene is with film and shooting film in Egypt. I've always been interested it's hard enough for us guys in Europe or the US because film is not cheap and chemicals are sometimes hard to ship and whatnot. But there's other countries that are not on the front page of everything that probably have a much harder time buying certain films. I do have conversations with a photographer in Sri Lanka, and he has a really hard time finding chemicals, paper, and such. Everything has to be imported, and it's hard and expensive. So yeah, let us know how Egypt is for film. Layton says, I should add, I've just got given a new 6x7 Max Enlarger, only being used twice, but the bulb reflective coating is flaking. I can use it now, but would prefer to replace. Yeah, I would replace it if you can. Also, be careful with changing the voltage. The guy in my studio that owns the Durst Laborator 1200 changed the light bulb from 150 to 250, or I think he bought it with a 250 even though it was max 150, and it burnt the mirror inside his diffuser light, or is it diffuser? Yeah, diffuser head, and he had to change the mirror. He was lucky enough to find it, so just be careful with that, guys. MWorks, any idea what sort of movements the Stenopeka 4x5 entry-level large format has? I'll just look at the pictures and let you know. Steno. One thing I will say, guys, about movements in large format, and this will be coming hopefully soon, but I'll say it now. Movements are, I think, overestimated. You can't consider movements to be that important. And this is what I mean is, with minimal movements, you achieve so much. When you're entry-level camera and you want to start and you don't have anything, don't go for the maximum movements unless you really know that you need them. At the workshops when I teach, we show them how to do the Scheimpflung principle and how to correct, change the depth of field. Well, not change the plane of focus, sorry. So you can shoot wide open and still achieve, everything in focus from the foreground to the background. And it's so small. The movement is like 2 degrees in the front standard, like 2 degrees in the back if you need it. So when things are moving like 30 degrees one way and the other, you don't need those extra 20 degrees. With 10 degrees, you're more than enough. And yeah, don't go crazy on those movements. I shot for years on a Graflex, and I never bumped into any issues with movements with it. So just letting you guys know. I'm in Stenopeka while I talk too much. Let me see. Looking at the camera, there's only one picture, but there's rise and fall. There's tilt in the front. It looks like there is a certain, how do you call this? Not shift. I always forget the names. Well, you can tilt one way and you can kind of swivel the other way. You can base tilt, it looks like it. The back can also tilt and also has a slight swivel. You can focus. So I would say 95% of what you need is there. The back movement is just, yeah, the swivel and tilt, base tilt. So that should do good. I wish there was more pictures, but there's no more pictures than one. So let me go back there. The Barbas, whoa, you guys are so fast. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go as fast as I can. The Barbas. Nico, if I go to American to pass my holidays and buy a lens or two there, when I return to Portugal, will I pay taxes? No. When you fly out and you buy whatever, just fly in and just take it in your backpack. Don't say anything. Just go through. You'll be fine. What camera is it? The Stenopeica is a 4x5 large format camera. That's what you meant, because I'm late on the chat. The Barbas, you are allowed to a certain amount of presents, otherwise you should declare them. I mean, if you buy jewels or paintings like they're extremely expensive, you're supposed to declare, but a lens or two, it won't do any harm. Hogarth says, I wonder if it's a camera. Oh, you're saying about the shutter speed. I wonder if it's a camera with the auto, say, and 1/25th is the only mechanical speed if your batteries die, and that is why it's not working. That could happen. Hogarth says, Egypt is my favorite place, if anyone was curious. The Barbas says, Leighton says, the Barbas, if you are not an American citizen, I don't think you have to pay sales tax. Not sure on that one. Nico will know that and might be limited to large stores. I usually buy in B&H and KEH, and there usually is no sale tax. But if you buy in New York and you are in New York, you will pay the New York taxes, and you can ask at the airport for them to return the money. I've never really done it because it's never been a big amount, but you can go there and ask. But I'm always scared when you do that, they kind of like flag you, and then they will really stop you when you enter your country. Omar, it's beautiful. Do you want to come here? I would love to go to Egypt. I have to say, my family went once all together, and I don't know why I couldn't make it. And I feel like I'm the only one that hasn't been there. The Barba says, I want to buy used lenses. Hagar says, I've been twice to Egypt. The Barbas, from private, you're not going to have any issue, the Barbas. No problem at all. Swing. Okay, guys, thank you. That was swing. You see, that's why you guys are here to help me out. I'm supposed to be helping, but I like that people help me more. The Barbas, Leighton says, that's fine, no sales tax. I say you should declare if you are unsure. You can always ask, but if they are used, there is no way they could know you didn't take them with you. Actually, that can happen. If they would ever stop you and tell you, hey, did you buy this there? In Europe, at least in Spain, you would have to justify purchasing it here. If it's used, I guess you wouldn't have a bill or like an invoice, but you could get in trouble. But usually nothing ever happens. The Barbas, I usually fly through Portugal when I come back to Spain because I love TAP Airlines. I love how Portuguese people treat me and my family. I really don't like going through Madrid. So I haven't touched Madrid in the last 9 years when I fly. And never, ever, ever have I had an issue with customs and what I take. And I fly with a lot of gear and a lot of film and a lot of boxes and a lot of suitcases and a lot of pretty much everything is a lot because I try to stock up everything I need when I travel to the US, as everything is like 40% off. Leighton says, Leighton says, but I cannot recommend you break the law. It's not about recommending. I mean, just probably nothing will happen. I won't recommend you break the law. I'll tell you that it shouldn't be an issue. Stuart, the 2 degrees you mentioned is that front tilt. Yeah. Basically, when you're using the large format camera, if you are shooting architecture like I like the most, or normal subjects, I usually just use, this would be the front. I use the front tilt a little bit, and that will help you with the change the plane of focus to achieve like everything in focus mostly. If there's one vertical line in the middle, you won't be able to do that because you'll throw the focus out of that. And for that, there's a video, the latest video of Nick Carver. I'm sure you guys all follow him. He does 6x17 shots in the desert, shoots them in RZ and stuff. He talks about it very well. There's a middle cactus in the middle, and he says that he can't do any tilt because, of course, the cactus is vertical and it's across the frame, so that will just make everything funky. So what he does is just stop down the lens and gain depth of field with hyperfocal. But yeah, what I'm saying is those 2-3 degrees, it's the front, and that will give you your line of focus will go just like, it will go slanted basically from foreground to background in the typical shot of rocks or grass and a lake and some mountains, or beach and an island, or anything like that. If you move the back, you will distort the size and the shape of things, or maybe, yeah, I guess the size, shape, it depends on what you're doing. It would distort the shape. But basically, when you use the back, you can see those in Ben Horn's videos and stuff. If you want to make a rock in front may look bigger than it really is, you can use the back, and that will distort and change the look of the things in the frame. If you move the front, the shapes will stay the same, but you'll achieve that plane of focus to shift and be, you know, more slanted to your subject, or you like lay down, I would say. Let me see. The Barabas, thanks, Nico and Leighton. Analog Adventure, Hogarth. No, it's the Pentacon 6. Keep getting some black frames every few shots, and saw a video where the guy bought a P6 knowing of the one shutter speed failed. Could be. Sorry, your Pentacon 6 keeps on giving you trouble, Svein. How says, do you notice any differences between paper developers, or are they just all the same, just different brands? How I will answer this as someone that has only used one. I've only used Ilford Multigrade Developer because it's the person that taught me used, and I was like, well, it works for him, works for me, and his work is hanging on my wall because I really enjoy it. So supposedly, yes, it does change. It does give a certain tone. It can give you a cool tone or a dark tone or neutral tone. It can be meant to be used in warmer developer, colder developer, like the Morris Eco. It's a developer that will last like 6 months open. There are some that has different components in the chemicals in it. So yeah, it's not always the same. If you don't like how your paper is looking, try to change, yeah, maybe the paper, maybe the developer. The biggest change is always going to be the paper. The developer is always a bit more subtle, at least I find, from what I've heard. As I say, I've only used one kind of paper, basically in fiber, and one kind on RC, or yeah, resin coat, and one developer for both. How says, Analog Adventure, have to test, but I'm so fed up with the wasting film on both the Pentacon and the Kiev. Svein, don't take it wrong. Pentacon cameras are famous for failing. Film Advance sometimes fails. I've never heard of black frames. The Kiev cameras can work great, but honestly, they're a huge pain if something goes wrong. I recommend get a Bronica SQA, SQB, get a Bronica S2, S2A. They're fairly inexpensive. They go around 250 to 200, between 200 and 300 euros. And they do fail too, but not as much by any chance. So instead of wasting film, which is what's happening to you, you'll get more consistent results. And Bronica lenses are really good. Modern coating. And yeah, it's that brand that nobody really uses that much, and they're really good. I think it's probably the best price per quality in medium format Bronica cameras. The ETRS, which is 645, the SQ, S2, S2As. I have the Bronica GS1, which is 6x7, and it's extremely good and goes for pennies compared to the Mamiyas and all of that. So yeah. Oh, let me see. Sorry, I go all over the place. Stuart says, will that 2-degree front tilt bring a risk of softness in the background? It depends mostly on what shape the background and how far it is, but it won't bring it, like you will see it on your ground glass, Stuart. What I do on my camera, and there's a great video from Fred Newman. Fred Newman runs the View Camera Store, and he's got a YouTube channel with amazing videos. He hasn't made a video in a while, but he's got one on doing that, the movements. And basically what you do is you focus on, I think it's the bottom, and you find which would be the top of your image. So the mountains, for example, or the background, you focus on that. Then you go to the top, you do a slight tilt on the front, and you find the focus on what would be the foreground. And then you look at the background, and it'll be a little soft. So you focus again. And after doing that same movement 2 or 3 times, you'll achieve that plane of focus going through the foreground and the background without having to stop down the lens. It's way easier to do than to say or explain. Check that video from Fred Newman. It's really helpful. I want to make my own version just because I think it's so helpful. I think it should be reached to more people, even though Fred's videos have a zillion views. But yeah, it won't make it soft unless the shape is very vertical. If it's a building, it will cut through the middle of the building. If it's a tree, like I said, anything very vertical that comes out of the frame will make it a little soft, and then you can't do that. You have to just stop down your lens as much as you can to get everything focused or sharp. The Barba says, I saw a guy fitting old lenses in a Mamiya RB67, but I don't understand what he uses to stay there. Yeah, you can't send links. Sorry, Barbas. Let me see. But if you put in the web how I fitted vintage and newer shutter lenses to my RB67, it's the first thing. I'll have a look after, because if I watch a video now, I won't be here basically. But yeah, you can. I've actually gotten a lens that's made with a dollar bill, and I'll be making a video on it and how it works. But I'm excited to test it out. Analog Adventure, yeah, I love the Bronica. Had the SQ, but no mirror up had me wanting the SQA, but then again, the SQA-I has bulb, but yes, those are wonderful. Got a new lens for the RB67, so focused on that now. Yeah, the 6.7 will be good for you. Shouldn't fail as much. Jose Martin, you could also rock a folder camera. Can't go wrong with a Nisolette. Yeah. The folder cameras are really good too. Just the age, sometimes the bellows can be a little pinholed and whatnot. But yeah, I have a friend that has one that works really good, and it's so small. TV photo, the Barbas looks like a modified lens cap on an extension ring. Yeah, that's how you do it. On the Rolleiflex SL66, which has the shutters on the focal plane, you can put anything on the front and the shutter will be in the back. So you can put a mirror, you can put a glass of water, you can put a Coke bottle, whatever you want, and focus on that. Use it as a lens because the shutter's on the back. MWorks, had a Bronica SQA. If the battery goes, it defaults to a shutter speed. Think it was 1/25th. Beware. Great medium format camera though, very affordable. Yeah, that's the same as the Mamiya RZ. Mamiya RZ, when it fails, I think the shutter speed you're stuck with is 1/400th of a second, and that's it. but it works. It works well enough. I've never run out of battery out of the studio because I never really carry it out and about. Yeah, Johannes says, I am interested in getting a Jobo processor. Would you recommend getting an older model and save money, or do the late models have invaluable features? Is hand processing color film a waste of time? I've hand processed, I think, like 98% of all the color film I've shot, and I've shot quite a bit at the beginning. I don't think color developing at home is a waste at all. Jobo machines make it extremely easy. Between an older model and newer model, does it have any new features that are like to die for? I wouldn't say it has any new features to die for. Those machines are built well. They always feel a little flimsy, but they were built much better than they look like. They've lasted for years. I have one that's in the box since like 1985 or something like that, and brand new, and it still works. I've turned it on a few times just to check. But yeah, color processing is easy on a Jobo. If you're gonna get it with a lift. If you want to buy a new one, of course you're gonna have the guarantee. You're gonna be safe and whatnot. But if you can find a secondhand one, it's gonna work just about 99% the same. Feature-wise, it's pretty much the same. The older ones to the newer ones. Beware of the motors. Cat Labs of JP, which is a store in Boston, has the serial numbers that you want to be aware of just in case. Do buy one you can test out for the engine running properly. It doesn't like skip, that it changes the rotation from one side to the other. I think it does like 2.5 spins one way, 2.5 spins the other way. What I do on my CPE too is I add a water pump from an aquarium to kind of make the water flow, so the temperature is a bit more spread out, because the thermostat and the water heater is basically almost in the same place. So I kind of give it that extra water movement. But yeah, 100% recommendable to get a Jobo machine to develop color. E6 and C41, both of them. E6 is a bit more picky, and be really on top of your temperature. And one thing I've told everyone that's asked me about Jobos, and it's a few people, first few times you do it, don't use film, don't use chemicals, just do water. And this is for you to get fluent or comfortable with the changing water, lifting the tanks, or taking the tank off, taking the lid off, pouring it out, pouring it in, and all that. Because one will think it takes 5 seconds, it'll take 25 seconds, or one will think, you know, I can go to the bathroom and maybe time flies when you go, or you think you can go have a coffee and come back. And, you know, you want to test it out with water, empty tanks, and it works great because it'll teach you how to do it. And then by the time you use real film, you're ready for it. Leighton says, I have a hand-processed color film, used Tetanel C41 at 30 degrees with good results, but I shoot 99.99 black and white. Yeah, a lot of people do it by hand now. They have those cooking heaters that keep the water perfect temperature. They look like a big, like, you know, I don't know, you've seen those. Those are for cooking and boiling steaks and I don't know what. Stuart sorry, Stuart, can't say your last name live. From Fred's video, axis, tilt, front standard. First focus on the near, bottom glass, exactly. Second tilt on the far for focus, bottom of glass. Repeat 3 times. Stop down if the middle has soft focus. Good video. It is a great video, Fred's. Fred Newman's one of my YouTube heroes. Being on YouTube since YouTube was basically started, and having all those informational videos that weren't, he didn't have to do them and he did them. So yeah, thumbs up for Fred. I hope to visit him one day, because supposedly, said by Canham when I interviewed him for Photokina, they're basically neighbors. So it would be great to do those two people in the film world in one trip. So hopefully one day I'll get to meet Fred and Keith Canham at their home, basically. MWorks, Jobo for black and white. So I do all my black and white on the Jobo, so I have a backlog. I develop on my Jobo black and white all the time. I actually don't do hand developing. I guess I'm lazy, or I've got too comfortable. So Jobo works great for black and white. Just beware, if you get warmer room temperature than 20 degrees or whatever temperature you develop in, Jobos won't cool down. So you want to either keep some ice handy. I have a system to cool mine down, which I'll show you when it gets warm here, because my darkroom is going to get pretty warm during this summer. And yeah, but I do all my black and white in the Jobo. I give it a 5-minute pre-soak and everything same times. The only chemical that I don't do that with is Xtol, but it's because it's meant for rotation developing, but I've never used Xtol, so never had an issue. Dave says, have you ever tried the poor man's Jobo, the Unicolor Uniroller? Nope, never used the poor man's Jobo. I bought my first Jobo like 10 years ago when I took it to my local lab, and they cut my film and stapled my film, and I was like, I'm never doing this again with you guys. Went on the internet, and I think I probably typed like developing color film at home, and Jobo popped out. I read about it, and the first thing I did was buy one on eBay. As I'm in Europe, they're super affordable, or at least they were. And I got my first Jobo, 10 years ago, and I've never stopped doing it myself, except for when it's something really important, like my sister's wedding. My sister's wedding, I shot 2 Pentax 6x7. I think I did like 15 rolls max. Had to stop the wedding twice to reload, even though I was shooting 220 film back in the good days of 220. And that film, I was too scared to screw up. I've had a few accidents, and I just sent it to the lab, and they scanned and they developed it. One day I'll try to see if I can share some pictures of her. I think they look pretty good to be a non-wedding photographer. Let me see. S-Works. I made one for my color processing. Sus V. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's the machine. Or Dave Bias says, or even the B processor, the newer 3D printed handmade cousin. I don't know which one's that 3D printed handmade cousin. You might have to send me information on that. Dave Bias, 220. One day we hope we can make it again. Dave, the day you guys make 220 film, I'll be there to buy it. I can tell you that. I'm not selling none of those. Yeah, you can't send links. I'm sorry. Maybe you just can type the words that I have to Google and we can search it. Yeah, I'm not going to sell any of my 220 backs. I have a ton for Hasselblad. I have a ton for Mamiya. I have some for Graflex and stuff. I have my hopes that one day we'll get 220 film again. Layton says, I lose an average 2 rolls a year on accidents and competence. Yeah, look, I'll get back to that just in a sec. It will require some investment in our 120 machine, new parts. No, I can totally understand. Dave, I work in a very physical work, and machines that we use are no longer made. And basically, we kind of like hand make any kind of machine that we need to our specs. I live off hydraulics, pneumatic, how do you say, with air? Sanding machines, engines, everything like that. I spend my day, actually every single time I want to make a video, my hands are halfway black, so I try to clean them as good as, so I know what it means to have machines made, and I very much understand you guys. I would love to be there and help, but it's a little too far. Let me see how, wow, I lost a lot. I lost a lot more than that. Talking about losing film with accidents, my biggest concern with developing film, even with the Jobo, has been trying to multitask. Whenever I go develop my film, I will only develop. I used to develop and print at the same time, and that's when all the accidents happen. Ever since I just go and develop or I go do prints, then no accidents have happened. I can't even develop and then print. I have to only develop what that day, and then the next day only print. I guess my head won't work with those two things at the same time. But yeah, basically that doesn't work with me. Hal, good night, guys. To Hal, sorry, not saying goodbye to all of you. Hal is the one that doesn't sleep. He will text me back even when I wake up at 5 in the morning. So bye, Hal. MWorks, haha. Pronounced Sovid is the device you referred. Okay, I'm horrible at pronunciation. So sorry for that, guys. Is the device you refer that is used to cook food in the water bath. I made one for my color processing. Keeps water temperature perfect. There you go. So that's the machine you can use too. What's up with the painting in the background? Well, it's the only painting in my house, I think. No, not the only one. But it's the only one close to a socket so I can plug. Because actually all my cameras and everything is on the other side. And it would probably be a lot more interesting, but this is the only one close to the socket. So you guys get to see my face for an hour and that painting for an hour. Sorry, I can put some, look, let me just put some Leicas so you guys can give, I just brought them to show you guys. Leica M6 TTL, 0.58 magnification with a Summicron V1 and a Leica M2, my favorite by far. With a Voigtlander 25 snapshot. This lens is not, how do you say, rangefinder adjusted. So you kind of just guess it. It's a pretty fun lens. I got it for very, very, very little money. And I've shot it a few times. It's fun. It has like little clicks. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Let me put it close to the microphone. It clicks at infinite, 3 meters, 1.5, 1, and 0.7. So you kind of just can do it by clicks. I keep it at 1.5. It's a 25 mil. So you just stop it down a little bit and everything is in focus. It's a fun little snapshot. That's why it's called the Snapshot Scope R. And yeah, I was just talking about this, that I love shooting Voigtlander lenses on Leicas. And I think everyone should try it. Not everything has to be like a glass. So yeah, I just brought it out today so you could see. But yeah, just so you can not only see the painting for a little bit. I picked up my desk so no cameras are here. Leica ASMR. I don't know what that stands for. I'm really bad at that kind of stuff as I'm not. Let me see. I think I'm reading what it means. Let's see if TV Photo can let us know. I can say to my wife, Nico made me buy more Leica kit. You could say that. I'm planning now, I'm trying to organize a workshops with street photography, which is not my forte. And I've been getting a few different things, and some are lenses and cameras in the rangefinder to do. I want to do a workshop where people get a chance to shoot a Leica, shoot film, develop film, do contact prints, edit on the contact prints, and print their shots or their favorite shots. It will be interesting to see if I can do that in a one-day workshop, but that's the idea. So yeah, I now have 4 Leica mount cameras and 4 Leica M mount lenses. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll make a video on how I do that. I never record on my workshops because I'm too busy with it, but I want to try to share a bit of what I do and how I teach, all of that, guys. But yeah, 5 more minutes and I'll be off to bed. So yeah, any other questions, guys, let me know. I've found a few books I will be sharing on the architecture series. And I'm editing one video, which I'll get done probably mid next week. But hopefully I'll have some stuff to share there as soon as possible. Yeah, I think it would be a great workshop. You read all these people teaching street photography, and they talk all about everything. But honestly, I think the best way to teach it is grab a camera that works great for that. Learn hyperfocal and shoot some film and edit on your prints. Everyone's buying the Magnum contact sheets book and studying that, but I think the best thing you can do is shoot yourself, do a contact print, and go ahead and check what you like, print it, and take home a print and be like, look, I did this. I shot 2-3 rolls in a day in the morning, and I got 1 or 2 shots that are interesting. I won't say they're keepers, but they're interesting. I get like around between none to 1 to 2 shots with every roll that I would maybe print, and not very big. I don't print very big. Well, at least not yet. I'm about to maybe get some big paper. Analog Adventure says, what is common ratios for frames? Is 6x7 negs more suited for common frames, or is 4x5? 6x7 and 4x5 are exactly pretty much the same frame size. So for frames, seeing the frame I have next to me, I would say the 2x3 is the most common. Mostly because you think about it, we've always been shooting the 2x3. I mean, our moms, grandmothers, grandfathers shot 35. It was the biggest, size and film stock everyone shot. Everyone shot a point and shoot or whatever camera. So I think still digital cameras are all 2x3 frame or format. So I think print frames are 2x3. That's the biggest. And my favorite's 4x5, 8x10 frame, basically. Layton says, yeah, in street photography, you cannot teach observation. It's a skill. And I think it's a skill that you can have it or you can practice it to the point you get better and better. I'm just extremely shy, and I always look like they're going to punch me in the face, so I don't do street photography for that. But teaching it, I could have some fun time doing that. TV Photo says autonomous sensory meridian response is the essence as psychological feeling some get when listening to some noises like soft music, and it's clinically proven to exist. Oh, nice. So I guess that could be the Leica sound. I probably have film here, but you guys that's what it sounds. This is an M2. This is how it sounds. Oh. That's advancing it. That's how it sounds. That's advancing it. There's the M6 and how it sounds. We're going to do some of this stuff. That's how it sounds. And that's advancing it. And this is the Zeiss icon. I'll do a proper video sounds. That would be fun. And this is how it sounds. This one's way louder and mechanical. It sounds more metallic. Heard that? And advancing. This is way louder than the Leica, and it feels like you're hitting like a metallic shutter. It's like, so yeah, not very quiet. My quietest camera so far has been probably either the Mamiya 7 or the Fuji GF670. That camera is so quiet. You will never know if you're shooting. I have actually shot in advanced, and I have to look to see, and I probably take a few selfies like that by accident. Layton says, here is an example of some of my street work. Remove the space. I'll copy that, Layton, and check it out. Now, when I go, I'll leave it open in the browser. Nice. I never have the gut to take pictures of people in the street. Nice work, Layton. I don't know if I follow you on Instagram. I mean, Flickr. I'm not a big Flickr user, but I'll follow you. Hopefully, when I go in, I'll see your shots with a Canon EOS 1V85. Yeah, street with a long lens is hard, man. Okay, last question. Analog Adventures, Vane, any suggestion for use of an RB67 lens with slow, unreliable shutter? Giveaway, trash, sell. I don't know. They're so cheap depending on what lens. I would actually just try to see if you could fix it. If not, give away. I wouldn't trash. I would never throw anything in the trash. I think I've never thrown any piece of photography equipment in the trash. But yeah, I would try to fix it and use it. Keep on using it till maybe the shutter gets back in spec. But yeah, I wouldn't throw it. I don't like throwing stuff. I have a Hasselblad in a Ziploc bag there that I tried fixing myself, and now it's a very expensive Ziploc bag content. I have another Ziploc bag of a lens I try to fix for Graflex, and I don't have the gut to throw them out. I'm going to send them probably to people that will put them back together to working cameras and lenses, even if it costs me more than it with more than the lens or the camera itself. It's just the fact of having a broken camera that I know could work. So maybe I'll fix it and I'll give it away or do a giveaway on YouTube. Well, how would that work? Like give away a Hasselblad. I'll probably hit like 3 times the views I get on a normal video. But yeah, we'll see. Guys, it's 10 o'clock. Layton says, I have to admit my Flickr account is dying now. I'm more active on Instagram. I'm active on Instagram, but it's come to the point Instagram's so annoying that I wish there was something like Instagram, how it was 2 years ago. TV Photo says no trash, and Spain says you want to loan, fix it. Well, guys, good night. Thank you for the live stream. It's been very interesting and fun as always. See you in a week, live again here Wednesday. If you have any questions or anything, guys, let me know through Instagram, Twitter, whatever you like. The links are on the bottom of the description. If not, just look Nico's Photography or Nico Las Yasera, which is my name, on social media. But yeah, good night. Thank you, guys, and see you soon. Let me see.